what would be the topic of discussion, which is the Canada immigration. As you all know, during this lockdown time, we are seeing some phenomenal, some outstanding scores. Some of the which are coming out every now and then. Like last month, I think, or this month, we had some really interesting, the scores. So that's what Mr. Nilesh will be talking about. Mr. Nilesh, a bit of background about him. So Mr. Nilesh has been with Universal Immigration for the last 10 odd years. Universal Immigration is in Canada. It's a Canada-based company, and we are located in different parts of India as well. He will be talking about the downtrend, how this particular, time can help us to enhance our potential areas to work on. So that's what Mr. Nilesh will be talking about. And over to you, sir. Hello, sir. Are you?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Jayesh. Thanks a lot.
Welcome.
Just a moment. Allow me a moment, please.
So, are we audible to you guys?
Am I audible? Hello. Am I audible?
You're audible, sir, but I am not getting any response. So I think you've muted. So please unmute, sir.
Now?
Yes.
Perfect. Just a moment. So, good morning, everyone. And to begin with, I will first of all like to welcome and thanks a lot, Mr. Sir Alvin De Mello from Mangalore, who has joined us for this session. We welcome you, sir. And to begin with, I will like to, allow you a minute or two. It will be great if you can grace us and all the applicants with your words. I must tell everyone that Mr. Sir Alvin is situated in Mangalore, and he travels a lot in his preaching and all. He graces a lot of people across the world. So we are glad that you are with us, sir. Thanks a lot. Please grace us with your prayers, sir. Thanks a lot.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Nilesh. And let's just close our eyes and pray that God will guide you and every team member to speak in a right manner, which will help all our clients and people who are watching us and hearing us. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity that you have given Mr. Nilesh and his team to speak about what is in their heart concerning Canada and other countries and how people can migrate to those countries. I pray, give him wisdom, give him your grace upon his life, that whatever he speaks may be true concerning the present situation. May every word he speaks will bring encouragement to the clients and help them to understand how they can reach to their destiny. I truly pray for his team and bless all the clients who are watching. Pray every question, every doubt of theirs will be answered, and they will make a right decision if it is your will to reach to their destiny. We bless this occasion. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. Thank you, sir.
So, we are like 10-15 people as of now, and probably with time people will keep joining. Let us not waste the time. Let us begin with the agenda of this particular webinar. I welcome everyone here, and I will be going through a small PPT through this entire webinar, and I will try to interact with almost all the people, but since number of attendees are a bit on higher side, I'm not sure how many answers I would be able to, how many questions or queries I will be able to handle here. Although you can anytime connect me after the webinar. The total length of the webinar will be around 80 to 90 minutes. We will try to keep it as short as possible. And in between, if you have any question or doubt regarding the slide which is running, or regarding any information, you can raise your hand. You can find a hand raise at the bottom of your screen, named as reactions, or you can type in the chat box. I will see to the chat box and answer your question. Initially, I have kept everyone in mute mode. If you want to ask anything, you just type in the chat box. I will unmute you. Okay. And there has somebody named Redmi has joined. Please, I request to rename yourself. Somebody on Redmi, can you hear me?
Sir, yeah, I've renamed it Malya, sir. It's displaying Malya for me.
No, Malia, you are okay. It's not about
Okay,
you.
sorry.
No problem.
Okay, sorry, sir.
That's okay. Redmi, can you hear me? Okay, I have dropped a message to the person. Let's see. Anyways, so the purpose of today's webinar is to understand the Canadian immigration process, the opportunities available for us at this moment. Most of the things which we will talk about will be the general phenomena, about the Canada immigration, and the things available, or the or the sentiments of immigration prevalent to the situation as of now. We all know that we are under lockdown, and across globe we are having this pandemic that that is going on, and countries, the developed countries, are also struggling to get rid of the corona thing and COVID-19 as soon as possible. So probably this might continue for 5-6 more days, 5-6 more months, and we pray to God that across world the corona thing eradicates very quickly. Okay, so I will just share my screen so that the PPT is visible to you. Let's begin. So we will, as we discussed, we will talk about Canada immigration, and as Mr. Jayesh told us that Universal Immigration is basically a Canada-based company, and we here in India, we are there in different places like Bhilai, Raipur, and we have a lot of associates in Southern India and Northern India as well. And the three basic business of Universal Immigration are like this. First body is Universal Immigration is one of the unit of a body called USCIS Inclusive, that is Universal Resettlement and Career Solutions. Universal Immigration looks after all the immigration matters, that is the matters which require, for example, PR visa or work permit or things like that. All the visa matters taken care by Universal Immigration. And second body is URCS.ca. Particularly people who want to move abroad for studies, those are helped by this body. And third important body here is URCS Capital Investments. A lot of people, choose the way of investing in Canada and then moving to Canada to start up a business or maybe go as an investor like that. So we deal in all these three categories of visas for Canada. So a lot of times you people have heard about these terms like ICCRC and MARA members. ICCRC is for Canada and MARA is for Australia. So what is ICCRC? ICCRC is a regulatory body of immigration in Canada. Note it down that nobody can work without authorization of ICCRC legally in this domain. Although in India, there are a lot of players who work without ICCRC authorization, but legally that is wrong. Okay, we will talk about later, probably at the end of entire presentation, in detail about this, that how to choose your consultant. Is your consultant authorized or not? Where can you find that? Everything we will talk at the end of this presentation. Okay, so we have two ICCRC members with us who are our board members, Mr. K. Ravi Iyer and Mr. Amal Singh Badal, as you can see in this current slide. This is our certificate of registration from ICCRC. Okay, so the most important question comes in picture is that why Canada, right? Or for example, why any given country like Canada or Australia or maybe United States? What might be the reasons? So there are numerous reasons people migrate to Canada or maybe Australia or even New Zealand for that matter. One of the reasons is that these are developed countries. They take care of their citizens and residents to the utmost level. Second is that sometimes people seek better career, better lifestyle. Few of us might have our relatives or known people already settled in those countries, and probably because we are influenced by them, and we take a decision of migrating to Canada or Australia or any other developed country. Okay, sometimes we have our children, so sometimes we feel that okay, my life is almost, I'm done with my life. Now it's time to decide for my kid. Let's make a move, and I will give a very good future to my children. So a lot of people may have their own reasons to migrate to Canada. So you can find your own like this. Let's move forward. Okay, moving to Canada is one thing, that's our decision and choice, but how to move to Canada? What are the programs available to migrate to Canada? So one question I missed to ask people. Can somebody answer me, what do you mean by immigration? The person who wants to answer can unmute himself and answer it. Hello?
Yes, hello?
Yeah, may I know your name, please?
Radha.
Okay, Radha, you want to answer this question? What do you mean by immigration?
I believe immigration means leaving the current country where you are born or raised and shifting to another country with your family or alone to have to live there for the rest of your life.
Excellent. Very, very nicely explained by Radha. Thanks a lot, Radha.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm muting you again. I'm sorry for this.
Please. No, that's okay.
Okay, so as explained by Radha, that immigration means that you are changing your country of residence permanently. The word permanent is very important here, because then once you immigrate to any other country, that country becomes your present and future, and your current country becomes your past. It does not mean that your rights in the current country will be taken away. There are a lot of lot of ifs and buts and a lot of ways how people gain the citizenship of Canada, given that India does not allow dual citizenship. So that can be discussed once we come across such thing, because it will come across to any one of you after probably 3-4 years from now. So there are popularly 3 programs available to migrate to Canada. They are namely federal skilled workers. Some people call it as express entry. Then Quebec skilled worker. Most of you would be aware or would have heard about this program. And third route is study visa. So basically today's webinar will be focused on express entry, that is talking more about federal skilled workers. Quebec skilled worker will not be touched today. Study abroad will not be touched today. So if anyone have any query regarding Quebec skilled workers or education abroad, can get in touch with us maybe later after this seminar, and we can help you out. Okay, let's move further. So this is the map of Canada. Why I am sharing the map of Canada is very important. I want you people to understand that is my cursor visible? I hope my cursor would be visible to you. you have to understand that nearly 80% of population of Canada lives in this belt where my cursor is here. This is this belt is border to United States. So nearly 80% of population of Canada lives here. Okay. So we have some few important provinces here like Ontario, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, British Columbia. There's a small island here called Prince Edward Island, and very popular island here that is Nova Scotia. So these are few important provinces which helps us or which bridges us to get an extra opportunity to move to Canada. All right. So now we discussed about why we want to move to Canada. Can anyone tell that why Canada is allowing us to move to Canada, leave India and move to Canada? If anyone wants to answer, he or she can unmute and start answering. Anyone? All right. So now, if I talk about Canada, Canada is, yeah, somebody want to answer? Please go ahead. Hello. Just a moment. The person who is trying to answer, I'm unable to find him, and you are not audible. So, anyways, let's move further. So, the reason why countries like Canada allow us to migrate to their land is that, you know, a country like Canada is one of the biggest countries of the world. Canada is the second largest land in the world, and you know, the population of Canada is really low. That is only 3.5 cr, kind of population of Mumbai. So they need people, and even the population which is there in Canada, they are you know, the average age is very high. So they need young people to come in to contribute to the economy and take the economy to the next level, or even to sustain the economy in Canada. All right. So these countries like Canada, they have too much of commitments to their residents or citizens. They, you know, even the retirement benefits are of some different level. So they need to generate more and more revenue year on year in order to take care of their citizens who are not earning anything now. So they need new people to come in, earn there properly, succeed there properly, pay taxes properly, and these taxes are utilized to maybe take care of the old people there. Okay, and this cycle goes on and on and on. So probably when you will go to Canada, you will work and retire from your you know, career. Somebody new from any other part of world may come, and taxes paid by him will be utilized to take care of you. So that's it. Okay, so this is the most important reason why a country like Canada allows us to migrate to a country like Canada. And also there is acute skill gap. You know, for example, there are a lot of requirements of engineers, accountants, nurses, uh, and you know, even managerial posts like business development managers, retail sales managers, teachers. So they need new people with such profiles to come in and fill those, you know, skill gaps. Okay, so let us talk about Crs entry. Crs entry was introduced in January 2015, and I would like to take you all to flashback wherein how the Canada immigration used to work earlier before express entry was introduced. So till December 2014, it was entirely a manual process. We have to prepare the application here in India, or maybe whatever country you are living in, and manually we have to, put the documents in an envelope, and it has to reach within the deadline to CIC Canada, and depending on the quota. So when I say quota, that means it was something called first come first serve system. If the quota is like, say, for example 2014 quota was 25,000. So if 25,000 is the quota, and the person who is sending the document today, if 25,000 quota closes by the time his documents reaches to Canada, then he will be denied, his application will be denied. And earlier, since it was first come first serve, it was not a competitive model. So what do I mean by saying it was not a competitive model? For example, I say out of 100 there was a passing marks. So that passing marks was 67. So for example, if I have 67 points, and of course these points are by virtue of my age, my education, my experience, my English level proficiency, and if I am married, then my spousal education and her English language proficiency. All these contributes to this 100-point system. This we will discuss in further slide anyhow. And if for just for a moment, say my points are 67, and say some person A is having his points as 70, some person B is having his points as 75, that means that those people are more competitive than me, and they have better chances of succeeding in Canada because they have got more points. But since it was a first come first serve system, even if I am having lesser points, my application reaches there before them. I was given a chance rather than them. That means those people were denied if the quota was full, and I got a chance. So since January, just a moment. Who's this? Aruna, madam, I request please don't unmute yourself. All right. Okay, I lost it somewhere. So yeah, I was saying that if people are having more points than me and they are denied, that means there is something wrong in the system. So since January 2015, they introduced something called express entry, and now they say that, okay, you have submitted the application, no problem. It does not matter now that who is standing first in the queue. What matters is that who has better chances of succeeding in Canada, who has better chances to come to Canada, find an employment, succeed in his or her career, and pay taxes, run his life, have a good lifestyle like that. Okay, so now since January 2015, there is another requirement in order to make an application. So this we will talk further in next slide. So express entry, as the name suggests, it is faster than the earlier system. Earlier, it used to take minimum 10 months to 16 months of time. Now it's the general timeline for express entry application processing is 6 months after the invitation. Note it down, after the invitation, not from the point you begin preparing the express entry profile. After the invitation, 6 months maximum it should take. Very rarely it happens that it goes beyond 6 months. All right. So what is express entry? First thing, a lot of people assume that express entry is a program, by which I can make a Canadian immigration application, and I will be given the PR visa by this. No, Express Entry is not a program. Express Entry is just a platform which manages the existing immigration programs like federal skilled workers, federal skilled trade persons, provincial nominations, and Canadian experience class. So today we will talk about federal skilled workers and provincial nominations, since federal skilled trade persons and Canadian experience class are not the categories to where you people belong. So there will be no point of talking about those categories today. Okay, let's move further. Okay, so let me tell you about what is the first criteria just to be eligible to make an application. Note it, this criteria is just to be eligible to make an application. This criteria does not mean that if I'm making an application, then certainly I will succeed. This is just the application making criteria. So I need 67 points out of 100, and these points I gather by virtue of these factors: my age. Oh, what happened? Just a moment. My age, my education, my work experience, total work experience in last 10 years, and my language, English language proficiency. Usually in India, we go for IELTS exam. Then if I'm married, then my spousal IELTS, and any relative in Canada. By relative, I mean usually direct brother or sister in Canada. And along with these 67 points, I should have these few attributes which should be available with me. That is, first one is that I should get my educational assessment done from Canada. Now, what is educational assessment? Just for an example, I say that I have done masters from any given university in India. Now, CIC does not recognize my university in India, does not know if my degree is valid or not, or even if it is valid, then to what level of education should it be equivalent to Canada, to education in Canada. So to evaluate all these things, CIC has outsourced all these activities to 4 private bodies, namely WES, that is World Education Services, IQAS, ICES, and ICAS. So what these bodies do, these bodies give us a report that, okay, Mr. Nilesh has done such a such degree or diploma or maybe masters from such a such university. I'm sorry, from such a such university, which is recognized, and his education is equivalent to this level of education in Canada. So for example, if my bachelor's in India or master's in India comes to be equivalent to master's in Canada, then I claim the points for master's. If it comes to not be equivalent to masters, but they still evaluate it positive, then probably I may be claiming that I have done bachelor's, which is valid, plus I have an additional certificate, that this category we call it as 2 or more degree or diploma certificates. Okay, so if anyone is having any question regarding this, please unmute yourself and go ahead. Okay, no problem. So this is the first step. Then comes your IELTS score ready. So IELTS score or English language proficiency is needed here. Not only IELTS, even CELPIP is accepted, but CELPIP in India is conducted only in Chandigarh as of now. So most of us go for IELTS, that is in general training. This is, please note it down, this is the backbone of this process. This defines your success in the entire process. So you have to focus a lot in its preparation. So one thing, what is the minimum requirement of IELTS? You have to understand it here. Just for matter, if I am scoring 67 points, which we talked about, out of 100, with 6 in all in IELTS, that is listening 6, reading 6, writing 6, and speaking 6, then I qualify to make an application, just to make an application. Okay, 67 points, if I'm gathering with 6 in all, that is enough, but nothing below 6 is accepted in express entry. Okay, but in order to succeed or to maximize the chances of success in express entry application, we advise every applicant to score as high as possible. We will talk about these scores later in the coming slides. Third important thing, very important thing, is that depending on my family size, I should have proof of funds available with my in my bank. So if I'm single, then I need to have 12,960 Canadian dollars in my account. If I am married, then 16,135 Canadian dollars in Indian rupees, of course, in equivalent Indian rupees. And if I am married with one kid, then 19,835, and like that it goes on. So a common question comes here is that is it important to have this balance in savings bank account? No, it is not mandatory. This may be the cumulative amount, including your savings bank account balance, maybe your fixed deposit balance, your mutual fund surrender value, your insurance surrender value. The idea is that this should be readily available for you, your usage. The requirement of proof of fund is that once you land in Canada, you will not be having a job in hand. So probably till the time you find the job, you settle yourself there in Canada, you need some money to take care of yourself and your family. So that's the reason they need you to show some funds available in your account, which are there, available there at your disposal. Let's move further. If you have all the above attributes, then what? With all the above attributes, you enter into something called express entry pool. Okay, so what is express entry pool? Express entry pool is a place wherein thousands of more applicants like you, maybe like 50,000 or 60,000 or 80,000 applicants who are trying to migrate to Canada, like you, are there in the pool and they are waiting for an invitation. So how they will get the invitation? Now it is not first come first serve. So it has become a ranking based system. And what is that ranking based system? This is called comprehensive ranking system. And that's why we have Crs score here. Okay, so depending on who is higher in the ranking system, he or she will receive the invitation first, and then only he can make an application. I mean, he can complete his application and pay the government fees, and his process will be started. Okay. If anyone is having any doubt, please you can unmute and ask the question. So what happens in the Who's this?
Sorry.
Yes, please
Radha.
go ahead. Yeah, Radha, go ahead.
Okay, my question is, you said, contrary to the previous practice, now this express entry allows you to get into the pool, and then based on your ranking, you get an invitation.
Just a moment. Your voice is breaking. Could you please repeat the question?
Sorry. Is it better?
Yeah, it's better now.
So my question was, you said before January 2015, the criteria was.
You're not audible, Radha. Okay, could you please type your question in the chat box? You are not audible. Hello.
Ma'am, can you hear?
Radha, can you hear me?
Ma'am, if it's possible, please type your question in the chat box.
Radha, I think we have lost you, lost the connection with you. We will connect again on this. Okay, fine. Let's continue. In the pool, your 67 points converted into different set of points. Out of 1,200, out of 1,200, your new points are calculated. That is called your CRS score. Right? So how you get these points? Again, the factors are same by virtue of your age, your education, your experience, your English language proficiency. If you are married, then your spousal education and spousal English language proficiency. All these factors contributes to your CRS score. If you are having any real or brother sister, or your spouse is having any real brother or sister in Canada, that also adds points to your CRS scores. Okay, so let's move further. Okay, so I must tell you that out of this 1,200 points, 600 points are calculated by this CRS score calculator, which I'm going to talk about in coming slide. These are called core human factors and skill transferability factors. So this calculation is pertains to out of 600, not 1,200, and additional 600 points you get if you get a provincial nomination. So total score comes to be 1,200. So for example, by virtue of age, education, experience, spousal education, spousal language, and my language, if I am scoring, for example, 430, then this is out of 600. And if I get provincial nomination, it adds 600 more points to the application, and my score becomes 1,030. Okay, so 1,030 out of 1,200 and 430 out of 600. So, you know, sometimes we search in internet that how to calculate CRS score. There is a very good tool by CI in the official website of CIC as well, where you can go and calculate your CRS score. But just for an instance, if you want to have a quick glimpse of how to calculate CRS in a very handy way, you can take a screenshot of this slide. We have made a few assumptions here in the calculation that the age of the person is 29 or less. Language is CLB 9, that is he scores 8 in listening and 7 in others in IELTS or equivalent in CELPIP. Experience, we have considered it as 3+ years. With all these assumptions, if the person is having education as bachelor's, he scores 429. If the person is having education as master's, he scores 469. For 2 or more degree education, 2 or more educational certificates, then his score becomes 462. And for doctoral level, that is PhD, he scores 484. Okay, so this is just a thumb rule, which makes it handy to calculate the CRS score. So, for example, if your age is 31, and if your age is 31, then how to calculate your score? And you're having bachelor's, then your CRS score is 429, and you can see here you have to reduce 5 points every year after 29. That is 429 minus 5 and again minus 5. So at the age of 31, my CRS score shall be 419, 419, with the given assumptions. Likewise, you can calculate the points. And for example, if I have not yet completed my 3 years of experience, but I do have 1+ of years of experience, please note, minimum 1 year of experience in the given NOC is very important here, without which we cannot make the application. That will define your NOC code. So minimum 1 year of experience is required, but if my experience is less than 3 years, but above 1 year, then I have to reduce 25 points from the above table, whatever is applicable to you. So just for example, I can see Mr. Rajesh, I am unmuting you. Mr. Rajesh, you are married or unmarried?
Married, sir.
Okay, I'm sorry. Then I will connect to you later. Any unmarried guy here? Hello.
Hello.
Yes.
Vishwajit here.
Who's that?
Vishwajit.
Yeah, Mr. Viswajit.
I'm unmarried now.
Excellent, excellent. So can you calculate your CRS score through this information?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, so what is your age, Mr. Viswajit?
My age is 34 now.
34. Your education?
It's BTech.
Okay, and your total experience?
It's almost 10+.
Okay, so what according to you should be your CRS score with the assumptions?
Yeah, earlier I have calculated my CRS. It came around 435 or something, around that.
435. So with no, that is not possible. I think you might have committed some mistake in the calculation. Your CRS score shall be 425, 429 at the age of 34, 429 minus 25 points. It should be 404.
404.
Yes.
I think I have to recalculate that one.
Okay. Do you have any real brother or sister in Canada? In such case,
no,
we can add. Yeah. No, then it should be 404.
404. Okay, I'll recalculate that.
Okay. Probably you might have entered your experience in the Canadian experience. You have to check this very thoroughly. There are two kind of experience options available there. One is the experience you gain in Canada, and one is your foreign experience. We all are having foreign experience as far as Canada is concerned. For Canada, we are foreigners. So anyone having any experience across the world, maybe in India, maybe in Dubai, maybe in United States, Australia, anywhere, unless it is a Canadian experience, then we have to enter those experience as foreign experience. So probably you might have entered it as a experience in Canada.
Might be, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, Nilesh, I have a question.
Yes, please go ahead.
So, yeah, what is the meaning of CLB 9?
CLB 9 is 8 in listening and 7 in others. That is reading, writing, and speaking.
777 and 8, right?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Basiji. I'm unmuting you again. Muting you again. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Sure.
Fine. So this is how you can calculate your CRS score. This particular screenshot, if you have taken, you should note it down. This is helpful for the person who has never married or divorced or married and not applying with as a non-accompanying spouse. For example, I am married, but initially I want to go alone, or maybe for some reason my spouse is not accompanying me. Then this table will be applicable in his CRS, in my CRS calculation. Let's move further. So for the people who are married and who also wants their spouse to accompany them in Canada, in such case the table is a bit big, so I have mentioned the assumptions first here. you make a note of the assumption here. Applicant age is 29 years or less. Spouse age does not matter. There are no additional points for a spouse age. Experience is 3+ years of experience. Spouse experience again does not matter unless it is experience in Canada. Applicant language, CLB 9 again. Spouse language, that is spouse IELTS score, CLB 7, that is 6 in all. With these assumptions, this is what we get. You can take a screenshot of this. Married and accompanying spouse. If I have done bachelor's, my spouse has done bachelor's, I am less than 29 years of age, and with all the given assumptions, my CRS score shall be 423. If I have done bachelor's, my spouse has done master's, then 425. If I am master's and my spouse has done bachelor's, then 462. If both are masters, then 464. If I do not have master's, but I have 2 degrees or diplomas, or 1 degree and 1 diploma, but my spouse is having bachelor's, then 455. Again, if in the same case, if my spouse is having master's, then 457. If I am having education as PhD and my spouse has done bachelor's, then 476. If my spouse has done master's, then 478. And even if my spouse has done PhD also, then also 478. So like this, you can have an idea, and according to your age and other factors, you can reduce points like this and add points like this. For example, if your age is above 29, if the primary applicant's age is above 29, then you have to reduce 5 points every year after 29 and 10 points every year after 39 years of age. If my experience, who's this? I'm sorry, I missed you. I think somebody has unmuted himself. I request please don't unmute. Okay. Thank you. I was telling, if my just for example, if my experience is above 3 years, then it is okay. If it is not 3 years, then I have to reduce 25 points. But it's important to note is that I should have minimum 1 year of experience in the given NOC. Also, if sometimes it happens that I am married, but I don't want my spouse evaluation to be done for any given reason, or my spouse to appear in IELTS, or maybe he or she might not be so good in English or so good in education. So, everything is everything costs here. So sometimes people do not want to evaluate their spousal education and language to save some money, or maybe for any given reason, but they want their spouse to accompany to in Canada. In such case, you have to reduce 8 points here for your spousal education, and you have to reduce 12 points here for your spousal language. Maximum your spouse can contribute 30 points in the system in your CRS score. So in our assumption, it is 20 points, which will get reduced if you do not want your spousal education and language to be evaluated. Okay. What you can add is, again, real sibling of the applicant or real sibling of your spouse in Canada as permanent resident or as a citizen. If you have, then you can claim additional 15 points. Secondly, if you have a job offer with the employer in Canada, then you can add 50 points. Or if you have a provincial nomination from Canada, from any given province in Canada, then you can add 600 points. Okay, so we will talk about provincial nomination in a bit later here. Any query till now by anyone? Please feel free to unmute yourself and ask the question. No one? All right, let's move further. So what happens in the pool with all the given points with certain CRS score of your own, you will enter into the pool. And what can happen in the pool? There are three possibilities in the pool which may happen to any given applicant. You may be invited by federal. You may directly receive the federal invitation in short, depending on your CRS cutoff. Usually twice a month, a CRS cutoff is declared, and average, if we see, they invite nearly 3,200 to 3,500 people by top ranking people in the pool. And usually every 15th day this cutoff is declared, and nearly 3,200 to 3,500 people are invited by federal government. Once you receive this invitation, then you have to go for police clearance and go for medicals, submit your required documents, pay the federal and RPRF fees, and complete your biometric requirements, and your application is completed. From that point, it takes 6 months of time to get the COPR, that is confirmation of permanent residence, and PPR, that is passport printing interest. Okay. Second possibility is that you may be invited by a potential employer. Now, along with your express entry profile, there is another profiling done here, which is called job bank profile, which is shared automatically to all the employers who wish to recruit people from this pool. And if any employer is interested in your profile and he offers employment with all the certain documents required to recruit a foreigner, then you may be invited by him, and you can claim additional 50 points from this. Thirdly, you may be invited by a province. Invited as in you may be nominated by any province. So largely provinces like Ontario, Alberta, British Columbia, and Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Islands. These are the provinces which are very active in inviting people from express entry pool. Except Quebec, almost all the provinces participate in express entry pool, and they send notification of interest to the people, and then it's up to the applicant that he wants to accept the invitation from the given province or not. And if he accepts the notification of interest and completes the documentation, and if he or she is accepted, his application is accepted, then he or she gets something called nomination certificate. Now, with this nomination certificate, he comes back into the pool, update this nomination certificate in his express entry profile, and then he claims additional 600 points. So, provinces are very important here. These days, provinces are very, very active. Alberta, Ontario have made a lot of invitations. I think today we have a lot of people joined with us from Mangalore. I must tell you people that a lot of people from Mangalore, Alvin sir has helped a lot of people from Mangalore to migrate to Canada. A lot of people from Mangalore have been successfully nominated by British Columbia. A lot of people from Mangalore have been successfully, nominated by Ontario, even for Alberta, and for I think Prince Edward Island also. We have a couple of cases who have succeeded from Mangalore. So, but everyone have to understand very clearly that provincial nomination cannot be thought at the very first date. It is like we keep trying, we keep trying, we keep trying. What you have in your hands is your IELTS score. Everything else you cannot change. Just for a moment, you cannot change your age, you cannot quickly change your education, you cannot change your experience. What you can improve is your English language proficiency, and that only will help you to improve your CRS score. As far as PNP is concerned, we keep on trying, we keep on trying. The people whom I talked about from Mangalore who have received nominations from provinces like Alberta or Ontario or even British Columbia, when they started the process with us, nobody were knowing that they will get provincial nomination, or nobody came to us that, okay, I want to settle in Alberta or British Columbia. They came to us to make an application. Meanwhile, in the process, they got NOI from any given province, and we processed the application, and they succeeded. But in the beginning, it is never defined that to what province are we going to make your application. Okay, so let's move further. What is the total cost for this entire process? Now, this is very important there because there is some change. Probably a couple of weeks ago, the cost of this process has increased, and the new cost is like this. First thing, your federal application, federal and RPRF fees is earlier it was 1040 Canadian dollar per adult. Today it is 1,325 Canadian dollars per adult. And if you are having a child, then 225 Canadian dollar per child. ECA, if you go for WES nearly costs 300 Canadian dollar per profile. So if you're married, then probably 600 Canadian dollars. It's not exactly 300, but since you will be paying by using your credit card, some charges are there. So $255 plus some change, it goes nearly 300 Canadian dollar in India. Then if any province is required, for example, if you get a NOI from Ontario and if you wish to process that, then you have to pay additional 1,500 Canadian dollar, 1,500 Canadian dollar. This is not per adult. This is total fees of the Ontario application for entire family. Likewise, same for SINP, that is Saskatchewan Immigration Nominee Program, 300 Canadian dollar. Nova Scotia is not charging any fees as of now, but that is information as of now. In future, they may charge anything. So we will keep you posted if you receive a NOI from Nova Scotia. Whatever fees they might be charging, we will keep you informed. Same applies for Prince Edward Island. Okay. So I have few IT updates here. I have captured only one month or 45 days data here. Since 23rd March, I have captured the information. 23rd March 2020, 3,232 invitations were sent with lowest CRS of 467. This is federal invitation. 9th April 2020, the 606 invitations were sent with a CRS score of 698. Can anyone answer that? How is it possible to get a CRS score of 698? Can anyone answer? If anyone wants to answer, he can mute himself or herself and go ahead. Okay, I will answer this. See, if it is a PNP application, then certainly 600 points are there for the provincial nomination certificate. So the person with lowest CRS, that is 698, has his CRS score by virtue of his core human factors and skill transferability factors as 98 only, as low as 98 only. So a person with a CRS score of 98 gets the provincial nomination. His CRS score becomes 698 and he gets the invitation to apply. But I mean, 98 is too low to make an assumption. But we have observed people with CRS scores as low as 312, 320 receiving the provincial nomination and thereby succeeding in the entire immigration process. Why I am telling this is because of lots of forums and other things. We also tend to talk to people who are not from the domain, we hear to a lot of friends and all, and we make an assumption that, okay, if my Crs score is below 450, then nothing will happen. I will just waste my money and time, and nothing is going to happen. That's not the story here. However, we always advise to score as high as possible. But if not, then also there are chances. Even if you are landing somewhere between 350, 380, 390 also, you might get invitation from any of the province. You might be notified by any of the province, and we can claim additional 600 points, and thereby we can succeed in this application. Again, on 9th of April, 3,294 invitations were made with lowest CRS cutoff of 464, but this was not an open category. This was under CEC, that is Canadian Experience Class. That means these people were having at least 1 year of experience in Canada, at least 12 years of experience in Canada. 15th April 2020, 118 invitations were given with lowest CRS score of 808. And 16th April, again there was a draw with 3,782 invitation with lowest cutoff of 455. Again, this is under the category CEC. So the reason why I shared these updates is that usually provinces or such things happens. It is very rare to observe so many things happening in just 1 month. But in just end of the March, since ending of the March and till today, we have 4 or 5 different categories of draws happen. That means that the entire Canadian immigration system, along with the provincial nomination, is very, very much active now, and we should see it as an opportunity to make an application, to start an application. And I also have a very good news, although there are few things to be worked out on in these lines, but the good news is that earlier we were required to send the original, the attested copies of educational documents for ECA to WES. But because of this lockdown, WES is allowing universities to email the documents authorized from the authorized department, and they will complete the assessment online. However, this news is only a couple of days old. How it is going to work is still to be evaluated. We will let you know once we have more information on this. Earlier, WES accepted online or e-transcripts only from UK and US education or institutes, but from India, they always insisted to have the attested copies, which should reach to WES in a sealed envelope. But now, because of this lockdown, they are allowing electronic transcripts as well. So we should take advantage of this, and probably this will help us out in a very different way. We can have reduced timelines because of this. What you get from us is that we assist you in credential evaluation. We help you and we guide you to improve your points. Your application is submitted through the login of our ICCRC member, that is Mr. K. Ravi here. So we always keep you posted with all the updates, and we help you in PNP file preparation, and we make the application through official portal of ICCRC. So one thing in the beginning, I told that what is ICCRC member, or why to choose ICCRC member over any other consultant, or why to choose us just for an instance. See, there are a lot of category of people working in this industry. There are people who are authorized, there are people who are not authorized but are still working, and then there are few people who takes assistance of authorized people, and they make a legal representation. Important thing here is to understand is that if you are working through a consultant who is not authorized, then your appeals will not stand any chance in, if anything goes wrong in your application. And second thing, if just for example, I say there are, say, 50,000 companies in India who work in immigration industry. But you have to understand, across world, ICCRC has authorized only near to 4,000 people to work in this industry.